So I want to talk today about the high performing habit as we are in Proverbs 16, the high performing habit of reflection. Okay, reflection. Why is reflection so important? And why do you need that as a business owner? Because so many of us ladies, that the things that we don't deem as important, right? We look at our lives, and when we're looking at our business or we're looking at losing weight, we look at things of action and we think that those are the higher performing habits. And reflection doesn't look active because you're being still, you're slowing down. But I want you to know that reflection is God's doing, right? He's drawing you and sometimes dragging you into his presence to, number one, to be in the room. Because so many times, there was a song a long time ago. I used to love that song. And it was by Misty Edwards. And it was just like a run. And she would say, I don't want to talk about you like you're not in the room. I want to look right at you. I want to speak right to you. I would have it on repeat, just listening to that over and over. So why is it that God has us reflecting? It's not because he's trying to get into the room, right? It's because we are trying to get into the room of his presence. God is everywhere all the time. And so when people say, oh, we're ushering in the Spirit of God, what we're doing in that moment is the Spirit of God is there. We are preparing our minds and asking God, Lord, I want to come into the room. I want to look right at you. I want to speak right to you, but I can't get there without reflection. I can't get there without my mind being still and without me slowing down. If I never reflect on my business, I will never move forward, right, with a clear, calm, concise, peaceful, but effective plan. We talked about yesterday, right? There's a difference between committing your ways to the Lord and just confused and disorderly activity, right? Over here, you could be feeling like you're doing less, but getting more done. But over here, you feel like you're running around and there's nothing but confusion and disorderly activity. So looking at that, looking at reflection as a high performing habit in your life, what else does it do? It helps you, number one was it helps you get into the room. It helps you be present. God is everywhere. You are preparing your mind and you're getting into the room with him. Number two, it helps you to engage in holy activity. Think about that for a second. When you're asking God, I just want to be in the room. I just want to be where you are, Lord. All of this nature, because we have a sinful nature. This is one of the benefits of reflection. This grows your spiritual nature. When you are slowing down, you are growing your spiritual nature. And at the same time, killing off that sinful nature. It helps you to focus on God for your day. Like, as you are making these new connections with people, as you are building your audience, as you are making the decisions you need to make in your relationships, as you are looking at your body as a temple, this reflection helps you to gain the mind of Christ, engage in holy activity, dying in your sinful nature, waking up your spiritual man, and keeping you present with the Lord, training your ear for holy activity. Right? This is what it means, verse 3, when it says, commit your works to the Lord. Submit and trust them to him. You're entrusting something to God. You're entrusting your business to God. You're entrusting your children to God. Let me tell you, reflection helps you to stop trying to understand your situation with an earthly mind. How do I know this? Because the Bible says, right, that those who trust in the Lord and lean not on their own understanding. To lean not on your own understanding is to come at the end of yourself, to stop trying to understand it, and to move forward in holy activity, trusting that God will give you the answer. And get this, ladies, the answer is not always easy. The answer is not always doing the easy thing. The answer sometimes is doing the most uncomfortable thing. The answer most times is doing something that is opposite of your flesh. Because sometimes your drivenness and your ambitiousness, that can look very holy because you're working it out. You're working, right? Sometimes we're workaholics, and then we don't understand that God is drawing us back. Reflection doesn't look like activity. Reflection is actually slowing down. So what if you've always been used to a life that you're just like, I'm going to truck this through. I'm going to get through this relationship. I don't care how this person treats me. I'm going to get through this because I've always been used to putting my head down, trucking through. And God is saying, hold on. See this from my eyes. See, reflection, I don't need to just sit here and reflect to get to heaven. I can believe Jesus is Lord. I can get to heaven, on my way to heaven, miserable because I never took charge over what God gave me authority in. Reflection doesn't look like authority, but I'm telling you, baby girl, reflection is what helps you put on the armor of God. When Paul said, put on the full armor of God, you can't do that without reflection, because then you don't even know what you're suiting up for. How many of us don't even know what we're going to battle for? How many of us don't know how to identify that specific thing in our life that God is trying to work out in us, and then reflect, gaze upon the eyes of the Lord on a daily basis, and just knowing that if God is trying to work out diligence in you, and he's doing that through reflection, then every challenge in your life that God is causing you to be diligent in, you have to use the art of reflection. And let me tell you something, it's just getting alone with God. It's writing down the truth. It's honesty in its fullest capacity. Because as you're reflecting, I want you to know that there are going to be times when you are reflecting and you're just like, God, I have so much worry in my heart and I don't know exactly why. Right? Worry has a way of telling us that we care. If I don't worry about my children, then it means I don't love my children. If I don't worry about my marriage, then it means I don't care about my marriage. And I'm here to tell you that worry is unnecessary. Worry is a fruit of the flesh. It's a fruit of anxiety, right? But the Bible says, cast all your cares upon him. So it's not that we won't ever deal with worry because we are living in these bodies. It's not that we won't ever deal with worry or anxiousness won't come our way. What it is to say is that when those things come our way, that we know what to do with the worry. We know who to bring the worry to. It's not to hide what you're worried about. God knows what's in your heart. I want you to think about this, because for so long, when I first did nothing about my situation, when I knew God had called me to coach women, when I knew God had called me to set women free in their minds pertaining to purpose and like what they feel they've been called to do, for so many years, I boggled myself down. I hid myself away. The shame that I felt from having a secret, get this, not just a secret burden for women, because I was okay with talking about the burden in church. I was okay with letting people know God called me to women. It was when God wanted to then take that burden, package it however he wanted to package it, tell me, no, you're going to do this for coaching. And you're still going to do this for Christian women, because there is a space between salvation and seeing the Lord, that there's a whole lot of world and life that we live in the middle. But God then told me, and now I want you to use this in the area of business. And I couldn't understand it. But what God was doing was that he was working out my beliefs. And this is what I want you to understand with reflection, because I'm going to end it here. Ladies, I don't care if you get yourself one of those big books and you're like, me, where you just like to write, or if you are the person who all you want is a Post-it right by your nightstand, okay, where you go to sleep, and you bullet point what happened during your day, and you reflecting on your day and the goodness of God and the challenges you've overcome. And I'm going to give you the 3 questions. That'll be the exercise just to help you reflect this week. Every day you're waking up and you're setting like your time, your day, your mind before Christ with intention, intentional living, right? Today, I want to overcome my mental blocks. Today, I want to live from a place of my core values. Today, I want to be present in the room with people. Let's say that's your only 3 intentions for the day. At the end of the night, if you have a Post-it, you just ask yourself, did I live out of my core values? Did I challenge myself to overcome my mental blocks? Right? You're just holding your own self accountable for the intention you set for the day. And if you did not overcome your blocks, you didn't live out of your core values, you didn't keep your word to yourself, then just simply ask yourself, why? Why didn't I? Right? And that will come out in the excuses that we know. So let me give you some. Let's just say you set an actual goal, right? You want to live out of your core values, you want to be present, but you want to reach out to 10 new people. And at the end of the day, it didn't happen. And what we are used to is interruptions happened. Someone had a crisis that I had to tend to. I got busy. The time flew by and I had to start dinner. My kids needed X, Y, and Z. So I got interrupted and never got back to it. Like, we will use the language that our mind has always offered us. But what I'm telling you is that if one of your core values, right, is integrity, meaning keeping your word to yourself, then when you say, did I live out of my core values, and you wanted to keep your word to yourself, you would ask yourself, why didn't I keep my word to myself, right? What am I really scared of? Why do I break my own word to myself? Do I feel like I'm worth keeping my word to myself? Like, start asking yourself heart questions, not just activity questions. Because if we just ask ourselves, I went to reach out to 10 people, I got busy and I didn't do it, we'll always land on, I'm too busy. This is why I haven't started my business. This is why I haven't scaled my business. This is why I don't have as many clients as I have. Like, this is why I'm in the relationship I'm in. Like, whatever it is for you, we will use that same excuse. But one thing about reflection is that it helps you practice to feel all of your emotions. Because feeling all of your emotions is another high-performing habit, right? Right now, we're just talking about the action of reflection. But one of the other high-performing habits, which is a fruit and a byproduct of reflection, is being able to feel all of your emotions and continue with your day. Because this is the thing, we let sadness stop us from what we said we were going to do that day. We let despair, that's an emotion, stop our world when God has given us authority over our emotions And what we need to realize is that everything starts in our thoughts. The thoughts that we're thinking is creating the anxiety. The thoughts that we're thinking is creating the despair. This is why reflection and getting the mind of Christ helps us to gain right understanding. And we come to the end of ourselves because our thoughts produce emotions that we think we can't handle. So we cope in different ways that are anti-goals, and then we complain about the life that we're living. These are hard truths. But you know why I'm telling them? Because all we do is, the reason we're worried is we're trying to be sovereign. Sovereign meaning trying to be God in knowing what will happen before it does. And because we're not God, it produces anxiety, right? But look at this, verse 6, by mercy and loving kindness and truth, not superficial rituals, wickedness is cleansed from the heart. And by the fear of the Lord, one avoids evil. What does that tell me? That proud hearts can only be cleansed and cleaned and changed and transformed through the fear of the Lord, through loving kindness, through truth, and through mercy. So what does reflection do? It actually helps me practice the promises of God. Mercy is a promise. Loving kindness is a promise. God always telling us the truth, that's a promise. It's a gospel guarantee. So what reflection does is that it cleanses my heart and it helps me to practice the promises of God. This is what helps me commit my works to the Lord. And I'm letting you know now, ladies, that feeling every single emotion, the more you can train yourself to do that, the only thing you have to do, willingness to feel. You know that you can be offended by your enemies and still love them. Look at verse 7. When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Even your enemies will be at peace with you. Why? Because your ways please the Lord. In training your ear to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying, this high-performing habit of reflection, I'm telling you, the way to reflect is to have a willingness to hear your own mind and all of its thoughts, good, bad, ugly. Feel all of its emotions, feeling offended, feeling anxious, feeling depressed, feeling joy, feeling peace, feeling mercy, feeling loving kindness. It's to engulf everything. When you have a willingness to listen to your own mind, you know exactly what to surrender to Christ, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then when you have a willingness to believe God is who he says he is, he will do what he said he will do, and you get to cast all those worries on him, and in exchange, he says, reflect on my character, reflect on my word, reflect on who I am, and just reflect on me being good. Reflect on those things. Reflect my nature. What do you think I say about this? What do you think I mean about this? The more you do that, your willingness, that heart that has all of these contents mixed in it, it's cleansed by God, and you are able to perform in a way that you're not striving to be something. You are performing in a way that your beliefs, the Bible says that we are a bow in the hands of a warrior. That's what it feels like when you are coming from a place of just, I'm committed to Christ and I'm committed to the call. I'm committed to Christ and I'm committed to the call. Both good, bad, and ugly, I'm going to fail forward. I only gain more experience as I fail. Now I know what to do. I can evaluate what went right, what went wrong, what can I do different. And you're not making none of those things mean something about you. You're not making it mean that now God is further away from me. You're not making it mean like I'm not good with God, like I think he's mad at me. If you think God is mad at you, just come before him. He's a good father, right? So just reflect. Reflect on, what do you believe about God? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your product or service? What do you believe about the relationships you're in? What do you believe about your health and your own self-worth, your own self-image? Reflection helps you to understand what you really believe. And all of those beliefs that are not God-driven, God-honoring, or that you just want to say, this is my mess, God. Can you cleanse it? He's a good dad, and he's not mad at you. And he's proud of you for trying. He's proud of you for saying, you know what? I said yes to God. And this is what my yes looks like in this season. One of the things that will bring you the most anxiety about whatever decision you have to make is that you're trying to show up, right? This is the person you want to be, and this is the person who you see in your life now. The most anxiety-filled things is to think that this person here has to have every single step figured out along the way. No, I'm telling you, this is who you think you are. This is who God calls you to be. Start living as her here. We get obsessed with the how. How are we going to do it? How is it going to work out? How am I going to gain these clients? How many events am I going to do? How many events am I going to schedule? How many consultations? We get caught up in the how. What God is telling you is, this is who you are in me. Show up as her, and I'll give you the answers along the way. Just trust me. Just trust me. You just need enough light for the step that you're on. His word is a lamp unto my feet. Lamps give light for the step you're on. We want like those big kaboom, those big street lights, those big, like at a block party. We want those lights. And God is saying, you just need enough light for the step you're on. Reflect on it and move forward. That's the biggest thing here. I want you to take action on what you've reflected on. Know that action always comes with reflection first. But I want you to take action with what you reflected on. So at the end of this week, I'd love to hear all the actions that you've taken after you've reflected. All right, ladies? All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.